Here's the country we live in now in America today. It is a country based on affirmation, not information. Everybody wakes up in the morning with their sports, with their politics, with an opinion. And regardless of what happens, you're digging your feet in, and that's your opinion. You will not let anybody sway you. That's just the world we live in. We live in now an affirmation society, not an information society. Just tell me what. We even watch channels. They'll tell me what I want to hear. This channel will tell me what I want to hear, not what you need to hear. So in Ohio, home of the Cleveland Browns, in Oklahoma, where Baker Mayfield played, you woke up in the morning, it didn't matter what he did. It was just going to be amazing. Pick six, somebody else's fault. Loss, somebody else's fault. Referees cost us. Really? Referees threw the 4 turnovers. Referee threw the pick six. Okay, I was just checking out. Well, he had a lot of yards. Oh, Baker Mayfield had a lot of yards. Are you watching the NFL in 2018? Yards are really easy to come by. But you know what's never easy to come by in the NFL? And it never will be easy to come by in the NFL? Wins. And Baker's 0-1 as a starter. And by the way, good luck. Ravens are next up. Schedule gets hard now. Don't tell me Baker played well. In the history of the National Football League, there has never been a single time that a quarterback, rookie or not, commits 4 turnovers and people say, wow, what a performance. Let me tell you something, Ohio. Your standards are pretty low if 4 turnovers you're satisfied with. I didn't think he played that well. He's clearly capable of being an NFL quarterback. What would I predicted in college? He's good enough to be an NFL quarterback. He's an accurate thrower of the football. But even Hugh Jackson after the game said, basically, quote, obviously turnovers were the difference in the game. Hugh Jackson didn't say officials were there for the loss, didn't blame his defense. Yes, some of his balls were dropped. Baker Mayfield throws it hard with a lot of spin. He's going to have drop balls. A couple years ago, Matt Ryan led the NFL in drops. It happens. Get over it. Mayfield completed 50% and had 4 turnovers. And you're telling me this morning you thought that was great. Here's the other thing, is that it's pretty obvious in the NFL right now that if you're a young quarterback, Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, Mitch Trubisky, having an offensive staff, an offensive coach is an advantage. We saw Jared Goff with Jeff Fisher. We see it with Sean McVay. Patrick Mahomes lighting it up. Andy Reid. Mitch Trubisky, 6 touchdowns. Mitch Trubisky. Oh, he's got Matt Nagy. By the way, Sam Darnold, defensive head coach. Josh Rosen, rookie, defensive head coach. Josh Allen, Buffalo, defensive head coach. Baker Mayfield, and this is why I said, do not run Hugh Jackson out of town, is a smart offensive head coach. That's why Hugh Jackson didn't blame the refs. Hugh Jackson didn't blame the defense. Hugh Jackson didn't blame the receivers. Hugh Jackson said, I'm tired of it. This is not acceptable. 4 turnovers cost us the game. Baker Mayfield has the best offensive line of any rookie quarterback. Darnold's is awful. Josh Rosen's is awful. Josh Allen's is awful. I don't count Lamar Jackson because he's not starting. That's Flacco's team. He also has real weapons. He has an elite wide receiver in his prime, Jarvis Landry. He also had 200 yards rushing yesterday, so he's got a better offensive line, the only of the rookies that has an elite receiver in his prime, and he's got 3 legitimate running backs. Nick Chubb, who I said before the year could be rookie of the year, is really good. Carlos Hyde is really good. Duke Johnson, nice little player. Those are 3 legit NFL running backs. The Jets would like to have 1. Listen, if you wake up in the morning and you've already made your decision on political stuff and sports stuff, you're not into information. You're into affirmation. If you want to talk about yards, Derek Carr had 440 against the Cleveland defense. That Cleveland defense is real. That Raider defense is crap. That Raider defense is bad. So Baker Mayfield, on 3 extra days rest, had more turnovers, and those are the difference between winning and losing. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has ever had a 4-turnover game. Had more turnovers than all the other rookie quarterbacks with fewer weapons combined. And he also faced the worst defense of all the rookie quarterbacks yesterday. So I got news for you. Lamar Jackson didn't have a turnover. Josh Rosen didn't have a turnover. Sam Darnold faced the Jags, didn't have a turnover. Baker Mayfield had 4. But you woke up in the morning. You just made a decision. Baker, look, a pick six is not his fault. Well, I mean, the officiating, nobody in a striped shirt committed a turnover. Baker had 4. He's not going to be a bust. But by the end of this year, if you're bragging about yards today with Baker Mayfield, having 290-some yards, if he didn't have more yards than Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Sam Darnold, I'd be worried. Because he has a legitimate O-line. He has a legitimate star receiver in his prime. He has legitimate running backs. He has an offensive coach. Between Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley, those are veteran offensive minds. I don't think Baker's a bust. I never did. But I don't wake up in the morning not willing to go, what am I really seeing? What I saw was an injury-riddled offense led by Baker Mayfield. He'll be fine, but you got to be honest about it. Can't be blaming refs this morning. Can't be blaming receivers. They didn't commit 4 turnovers. Let me shift gears to a decision by Frank Reich. He is the rookie head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And overtime loss, he went for it on a 4th down and pretty short in his territory. And he didn't get it. Then Houston got a couple yards and won. Frank Reich is just getting crushed today. I think it's interesting. For something to be courageous and gutty, there has to be risk. And if the Colts would have picked up a 1st down and kicked a field goal, every single sports columnist would have put gutty, courageous in the headline. Because something can't be courageous. It's not courageous to get a job out of college and 40 years later have the same job. There's no risk. It's not gutty to walk across the street with no cars. There's no risk. It's not gutty to walk across a bridge that you can't jump off of. You know what I mean? You can't bungee jump off of. There's no risk. Courage and guts come from risk. Otherwise, there's no such thing. There has to be risk. It's risky to be, a lot of different things. It's not risky, and that's what the columns would have been today. What a gutty move. Courageous move. You can't go from gutty and courageous to stupid based on the results. Doesn't work that way. Because Mike Vrabel pulled his kicker off the field and went for it on 4th down, and he won. So the results were different. You're calling him gutty today. You're calling him gritty today. You're calling him smart today. Doesn't work that way. Journalists and the media too often look at results and base all their narrative on that. I like the move by him, and I'll tell you why I like the move. So he goes for it. First of all, his quarterback was on fire, and the Texans' defense was absolutely gassed. But here's why I really, really like it. Because when you take over a business, and he's a rookie head coach, year 1 is not about wins. Year 1, for me at this network, was about changing the culture, creating chemistry, a belief system. Year 2, then you can start looking at W's. Then you start checking the scoreboard. But the Colts have the 3rd to 4th best roster in their own division. I'll repeat, in their own division. And Frank Reich, the new head coach of the Colts, came from a Philly staff that not only led the NFL in conversions on 4th down, but attempts. He brought that culture over. Philly special, Super Bowl, trick plays. Against the Patriots, 4th down, goal line, for the win. Okay, when Chuck Pagano was the coach of the Colts, my big complaint was, what the hell's the identity with this team? What are they? With Frank Reich, I know what the identity is. Andrew Luck's my guy. We're going to be aggressive. We don't care what you think. And by the way, Frank Reich left the Eagles. They're not as good this year. Year 1 is about creating a culture. This team's not a playoff team. Good God, I said I think they'll go 8-8, and I got all sorts of pushback. Most people, Vegas, have them at 5 and 6 wins. They don't have Jacksonville's roster. They don't have the Texans' roster. I'm not sure they have the Titans' roster. Year 1's a culture change. Year 2 is results. And by the way, I at least know what they are now. The Colts are aggressive. And by the way, whereas I never felt Pagano and Irsay had any relationship, Ryan Grigson either, any relationship with Andrew Luck at all. You had this star young quarterback, and I felt he was kind of just swimming on his own. He didn't trust the coach. He didn't trust the GM. He didn't have an offensive line. He didn't trust the training staff. He admits now, Andrew Luck, I was in deep pain playing. No. This morning, here's what I know what Andrew Luck thinks. I like my coach. There's an old saying, don't jump over a $20 bill to get to a 5. Folks, all you're trying to do in Indianapolis right now is create this cohesive culture. And Frank Reich did it. Mike Vrabel did the same thing, and this morning, courageous, gutty, courage, wow. What, on the results? Marcus Mariota was playing really well. Go for it. Andrew Luck was tearing up the Texans. Go for it. What do you got to lose? Third place in the division? I will always support, and I've talked about this. This is how a certain guy got into the White House. Aggressive wins. It wins in politics. It wins in sports. It may not win every day. It may not win every election. It may not win every Sunday. But aggressive wins. You got to ask the pretty girl out. And sometimes 8 out of 10, she'll laugh at you, roll her eyes, mock you, and say no. You don't get less aggressive. Aggressive wins. Frank Reich went that way. Totally, absolutely support it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.